Good afternoon, folks. My name is Catherine Johnston, and I am the Community Outreach Coordinator for PATH Employment Services. I'd like to welcome you today to our Let's Talk Career series. For those of you just tuning in for the first time, to give you a bit of information, our goal for these interviews is to give an inside view of individual occupations from the perspective of our guests, to inform those who are either entering into a new career or maybe they're thinking about changing their career path and they want some information on those careers. So each individual that we have on here as a guest, they share their unique journey for their career path. So today I'd like to introduce our guest, Jessica Soper. Thank you, Jessica, for joining us today and agreeing to be our guest.
Well, thank you for having me.
So I guess I'll start off before we get into your career. Would you mind telling me what your very first job was?
Yes. I think like a lot of kids out there, I did start with the typical newspaper route and babysitting, but very first job was actually as a cashier at Canadian Tire. I think I was in grade 9 or grade 10 when I got my first job, trying to save up a little spending money for myself. And from there, I did have a long career in retail. I was in retail for about 10 years, but it all started at Canadian Tire.
Would you say that that particular job was a big influence in the path that you took? Did it help you a lot?
Yeah, I think the job that I had at Canadian Tire certainly set the course for my further career in retail. But I think a lot of people really downplay the value of retail experience and those part-time jobs. But without a doubt, I would say the part-time jobs that I had when working in retail very much set me up for success in the field that I've chosen now. There's a lot of really valuable skills and experience you can take from those opportunities. And I will credit that tremendously for where I am today.
That's good. That's good for all of those thinking, well, I don't want to work in that type of job because, I can't see myself there.
Yeah.
So what is your job now? What is your job title?
So my title right now is office manager.
Okay.
So what that consists of is primarily HR and operations type work. But to put it simply, I do a little bit of everything. So whether that be things like hiring, training new people, dealing with performance concerns, scheduling, arranging policies, I do a little bit of everything to just kind of keep the business running efficiently. So during the pandemic, that's also shifted a little bit as well. So my role now is really a lot of pandemic response type stuff. So I am responsible for staying up to date on the changes with the pandemic, the new government requirements, as we've recently seen, and sharing that information with my bosses, who are the owners of the business. From there, I will make recommendations, and they can kind of tell me what they want to move forward with, what we need to kind of course correct a little bit. But because we are a smaller business, we have about 55 people in total here, we don't have our own marketing department. So I'm also taking on some marketing type projects, things like redesigning our website, increasing our online presence. I also do some work with our clients, different reporting, different projects and requests that they might have. So quite literally a Jack or a Jill rather of all trades.
That's interesting. And what made you decide to go into this type of career?
I decided to get into HR, in all honesty, from working in retail.
Okay.
So like I said, I spent about 10 years in retail, and I had the opportunity to see HR done really well. And I also had the opportunity to see it done not so well. And it was really interesting to me to see the difference it makes in your experience as an employee, in the customer experience, and ultimately in the sales that customers are making when HR is done properly. I have always been the type of person who wants to help people, and I was working at Best Buy, and I stumbled into HR kind of by mistake, helping with some recruitment stuff, and that's really when it clicked for me that the best way I can help people is by helping people at work. We spend more than enough time at work each day. And so I thought this is really how I can make a difference is by changing the way we think about work.
It's awesome. Did you go to school for any like did you take any courses? Did you get a diploma in anything to help you with this job?
Yeah, in all honesty, I never imagined a career working in HR when I was going through school. My education started actually in concurrent education.
Mhm.
So I was studying concurrent education at Brock, and I hated my classes. I hated them so much, I stopped going to classes and I got put on academic probation.
Oops.
And, at the time, I was like, I have failed. What have I done? But looking back on it, I now see that that was not a failure. That was just redirecting me to the path I was meant to take. Because had that not happened, I might be a teacher right now. But because that happened, I ended up studying political science and did a undergraduate degree and later a master's degree in political science. And it was while I was finishing school that I started working at Best Buy and stumbled into HR and decided to go back to school for HR. So I was fortunate. Niagara College is where I went, and they had an excellent postgraduate certificate program in HR management. And I did courses that would teach me about the real world concepts, the things I would actually be doing working in HR. So I had classes on recruitment, on compensation, on pension and benefits. And within those courses, you would get different assignments that were very similar to what you would do in the working world. So I absolutely credit my time at Niagara College and that postgraduate certificate program for really opening my eyes to the world of HR, what's involved, and giving me that hands-on experience to have the practical implications of my studies.
And are you new to the role that you're in right now?
I have, yeah, I have been in this particular position for a little over a year. I started last September. So it's a little over a year that I've been here now, and I'm definitely applying some of those concepts that I learned in the classroom.
Awesome. What would you say is your best quality that makes you good for this type of job?
Oh, I would say the best quality. I like to think I'm a very genuine and empathetic person. I really, I think to be in human resources, you need to really put the human back in human resources. So I think that's something that I like to think is one of my skills in this field, is just being able to connect with people, really listen to people and empathize. If you have those skills, I think you'll do very well in human resources. It does take a thick skin sometimes, but definitely having those skills will allow you to connect better with people. And when you can connect better with people, you're able to support them and serve them better.
And you said part of your role is hiring as well. That's part of your many hats that you wear. What would you say that you look for in when you're hiring someone? What are the skills or the two qualifications you would be looking at?
Well, for this particular the firm that I'm at right now, we look for people who have time management, communication, prioritization skills. I'm a big believer in that. There's a lot of things that you can teach on the job, but there are certain skills that people need to have in order to be able to learn. Certain things that you can't teach. So again, those skills, the time management, prioritization, and communication are absolutely essential. But I have actually seen different profiles work and be successful in this position. So for example, we've hired somebody who's had 15 plus years of experience in the same area of law, doing the same job, and she's done really well in the role. But we also had somebody who, this is her first job in the legal industry, and she has the transferable skills, again, the communication, time management, and prioritization. So she's been able to learn our industry and learn our role simply by applying those transferable skills. So it's the transferable skills that I really look for. And if I see a candidate who has had a previous job at McDonald's, at Tim Hortons, at Walmart, I know they can deal with difficult people. I know they can manage their time, and I know that they can, most often prioritize. So those are things for me that really stand out and give me reason to believe that this individual will have those skills I'm looking for.
That's good to know. And how would you say COVID has affected the work that you do?
It's affected it pretty big. Of course, it's changed. Where I'm working, I am primarily working from home, with the exception of today, as you'll see behind me.
Mhm.
But it's also changed what I'm doing, and by that I mean right now, responding to COVID has been a job on its own. So
Mhm.
rather than trying to push forward different initiatives, different projects, it's how do we just keep the lights on? How do we make sure everyone is safe? How do we make sure everybody has the tools and the resources to do their jobs effectively from home? And how do we make sure they're not burning out, that their mental health is being taken care of? So those are a lot of the things that we're really shifting our efforts to now, and that's where I'm spending a lot of time, is just kind of checking in on people, making sure they're doing okay, that they're getting the help they need, and that things are not falling through the cracks, while at the same time adhering to all of these requirements that
Mhm.
the government has for us.
It sounds like you have quite the amount of work on your shoulders. I hope people are checking in on you as well.
Yes, that's one thing that I will say is this job has given me a whole new appreciation for the expression, be careful what you wish for, because I wanted responsibility and I got it in spades.
Yeah. So is there any other advice or tips that you would give someone who's considering getting into this field or changing into this type of work?
The one thing I would say, I mean, if you're specifically thinking about getting into human resources, definitely taking a program, whether it be a postgraduate certificate like I did, or a full diploma program in human resource management, that's going to give you a really strong foundation. But I think for anybody looking to make a change, really take advantage of the opportunity you're currently in, and think about how your current job is going to set you up for your next job. So while it might not be the most enjoyable thing working in retail right now, and that's not where you want to be in the long term, the experience you're getting from that retail position is so valuable. And from my own experience, I did everything I could to make the most of it. I worked really hard. I built great relationships with leadership in the stores that I worked in. And because of that, I was able to get opportunities I wouldn't have otherwise had. So I did get exposure to HR when working in retail. But I know a lot of people just think, well, it's retail, it's a part-time job. I don't really care. Having
Mhm.
that attitude is, it's an easy attitude to have, but it's not going to help you get ahead. So if you think that you want to do something more, make the most of the time that you have, and think of, how is this job going to prepare me for the one that I want? Because there are ways in which it will, you just have to look for them.
Mhm. That's great advice. Well, thank you, Jessica. Is there anything else that you wanted to share? Anything else that you?
No, I don't think so, but just thank you very much for having me as a guest and giving me the opportunity to share my story a little bit, and
Mhm.
hopefully inspire others to go into HR. One thing I have learned from speaking with other HR professionals is nobody ever thinks I'm going to have a career in HR. More
Mhm.
often than not, you stumble into it by mistake. So,
Yep.
if you're like me and you enjoy helping people, you enjoy being a valuable part of a team, then think about it. It's definitely a good career choice. It's something that the world will always need, and I can promise you, there's never a dull moment.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It was a great conversation, and I appreciate you taking the time. So for those of you who want to see more, just follow our social media and watch for our next guests. Okay, thanks, Jessica. You have a lovely day and take
Thank you
care.
too.
Okay.